and welcome to Green Spoon Martyr's Quick Hits. My name is Nick Richards. I'm the chair of the cannabis practice here at Green Spoon Martyr, bringing you the topics that are critical today in the cannabis space. And today I am so happy to have with me Lizbeth Aurelia Sanchez Arce, who is an amazing person coming to us from Portland, Oregon, a place really close to my heart. I went to school there too. Lizbeth is at school in Portland. Actually, she is a remote with the Harvard School, and she is studying a really, really important topic to us today: how to increase access for medical marijuana, although I think it's more than just medical. And I'll let her talk to that. Lizbeth, how are you today?
Hey, great. How you doing, Nick? Thank you for having me.
Really good. Thank you so much for joining us. And little disclaimer here, and then I'm going to ask you some questions, okay? As you know, folks, we are on here as our individuals. If people knew what I was doing here, they wouldn't let me do it. So please understand that these are our own thoughts and our own statements and are not the beliefs, statements, policies of Green Spoon Martyr or the Kennedy School or any other very serious institution out there. Nothing serious here, folks. Nothing but quick hits all day long. Lizbeth, talk to me. What do you got going on there?
Hi, Nick. Thank you for having me one more time. I'm here just to talk about, I'm here rather as an advocate for access to legal cannabis. And it's important for everyone, but me personally, I'm advocating for veterans. And again, this is a need for more than just veterans, and advocate for everyone. But as a military spouse, I want to amplify the voice for these members of our society. And what I want to bring up is that cannabis has to be seen different. It has to be seen as a therapeutic avenue for these people, and it's not a matter of
Hey, let me ask you this, Lizbeth. Is it therapeutic?
I mean, I cannot say because I don't have a medical background, but if they say it works for them, is their right, and it's our obligation to listen to them. Right. Yeah. And probably it's not that medication that will fix them. Probably it's not a panacea for anything, right? But it helps them to ease their issues, like if that's joint issues because they have a severe military training, or if they have PTSD for X, Y, or Z for overseas deployment or training, whatever they might have seen or lived during their training and service. It's important
there are a lot of anecdotes, right? There are a lot of people out there saying, hey, this cannabis works for me, and these other drugs either didn't work or had such strong side effects that the side effects were worse than the benefits. And yes, is that what you're seeing in the veteran community as well?
Yes, and we hear different stories, but we can concise them. We can put them all together in a way that we hear either it works better than other medicines that I'm being provided by the institution that helps veterans, or it works better and together with those medicines, like I need less of the other medicine, or like I don't need the medicine at all altogether if I consume this, right? And they understand they're not gonna get cured, but I mean, it's what they need to live their life comfortable. It's what they need to, like, someone said to me, like, to bring them to a neutral, like if their head is buzzing and vibrating or whatever they have going on, they bring it to neutral. It's not like, oh, I'm high, as we hear from TV or any user that don't need it, like a user recreational necessarily, right? Like it's not a need. It's different when it's not a need than when it's a need that brings them to neutral versus bring them high.
So good to hear you saying that. And, there's so many misconceptions out there around what marijuana, what cannabis is and is not. It's hard to know what's true. And I think, Lisbeth, what I'm hearing from you is, hey, these folks are patients. They have these conditions. They need help. And they're saying this works. We shouldn't be second guessing them. We wouldn't do that with an opioid. Why would we do that with cannabis? So let me ask you this, Lisbeth. So increasing access, it would seem to me that there's sort of two kind of big categories for that. You have states where it's not legal at all. And obviously there's access problems there. And I would guess that there are also still access problems in states where it's legal.
Yes, precisely. Right now I'm studying the state of California policy situation or regulation, what they have for regulations, as being a state that have regulated cannabis both medically and also recreational. Medically way beyond before recreational, but and what's happening right now is that one, taxes are too high, and two, there's a disproportionate let's say access to the market, not only to cannabis itself but to the market, and either. And let me go back a little bit. So between there always has been a legal, since demand happened and there was no legal supply, there was a illegal market, right? So if there's demand, there will be supply one way or another. And when after that, when medical marijuana was legalized in California, there were many growers, many people joining to the cannabis market, and at that point, at legal terms, right? Because they were issuing licenses differently, they were reporting, and it was so much easier to join. But then when they legalized it for recreational purposes, because the regulations got tight so much, a lot of people either left the market, the cannabis market, or stay in the middle, and now they call it the gray market or the alternative market, or how did you call it? Is that the way you call it?
The traditional market.
The traditional market, precisely. Yes, and
so Lisbeth, let me just make sure I understand what you're saying there. So, are you saying that when marijuana was legalized for adult use in California, it actually drove some people from the registered licensed market back into the traditional market?
Yeah, that's what my research has shown me, and what I hear from people inside of the environment. That
sounds like a failure.
Yeah, in my opinion, it is too. And let's also take a step back instead of just seeing the negative. We understand they're trying hard, but a misstep there could have been that they limited the entrance to the market too much. Regulation, one, not only every state, every city, and every municipality was given the option to opt in, right? To opt in, whether or not they will allow any kind of cannabis
sales
activity. Yes, that being not only selling it, but also growing it, manufacturing it, and any point of the supply chain, even including testing and whatnot. So when they tied those regulations, some people weren't able to afford to join them, or they didn't have the cash to become compliant, or at one point didn't have the cash to sustain their status of being compliant. And some of them was hey, I give up, I find another way of living, or others they're grabbing to that way of living because either they have invested a lot, or either they're multi-generational growers, like, yes, we're trying to do the right thing, but I think it was done maybe probably too drastically. They tied the regulations, for lack of other word, too much for them to be able to stay in the environment. Like, they were squeezed out of the environment instead of enhancing the environment for them to thrive, and to motivate people to join this side, which is a legal market.
Well, so and it would seem like on the state level, what I'm hearing from you is that even in states where it's legal, there can be lack of access. And certainly we have seen different attitudes from different counties within states where it's legal. Some counties have robust cannabis available, and some counties have outlawed the sale of cannabis and growth and cultivation, as you mentioned. And I would guess that taking that now to that to the next step, I think about federal legislation and how federal legislation leaves it up to the states to determine whether or not they're going to legalize it. They're going to make it legal under federal law and then allow the states to pass their own laws. So, Lisbeth, am I correct in assuming that you think that that's the wrong approach then?
Like the federal government allowing the state government to decide?
I mean, don't people in Kansas deserve their medicine too?
No, yes, I absolutely agree that. Just trying to understand the point of view from the federal, and there's so many layers that I don't understand, and also a layer that I think I understand is that they're being cautious, like they're afraid, like, freeing it completely of all these means that is highly addicting at the level of LSD, at the level of other actually highly addicting drugs, and they're afraid. I understand the fear, but every state that has legalized it is proving that it's not as they're projecting, right? But too, like, it's okay the federal, like, if they delegate that to the states in the way they govern, but doesn't mean that they should, like, allow to block the access for people to need, as you say, like in the state you mentioned.
We had seen some, I would imagine kind of the history of it a little bit, and early on we saw the tobacco industry and the cotton industries very much against any marijuana at all, and that ended up with our early illegality, and later on we saw the opioid industries being against it. More recently, it's been the private prisons that are against marijuana. Private prisons exist because of the war on drugs. What is stopping us now from expanding access? Lisbeth, it feels to me like it's sort of a social and political perception almost, rather than any kind of factual reality.
I mean, I don't have all the facts to actually conclude that, but at a glance, it does look like that, because there is enough, maybe not for the government, but it seems like abundant amount of medical trials to prove that there is science that can be used, and if it's used responsibly, it has therapeutic ways. But also, like, as you say, like, I don't know how to answer this, but yes, at a glance, it seems it's more political than not. But we also have to understand the position of the government, right? There are so many people to respond to, and it's easier to, in their mind, probably it's easier to stop the use of it than if there is actual consequences to reverse them. But at this point, I don't think that's really a question of whether or not are, like, huge medical health consequences of the usage of it, and also, like, other outside of the health realm, like, it's proven, like, even though they legalize or not, there's gonna be cannabis sellers, cannabis retail stores that they will pop up in one place and they close, and it's not much. Like, yes, I wanted to say yes, but I'm not 100% sure. Right?
Lisbeth, thank you. First off, thank you so much. I am so excited to see people like you, smart, young, intelligent, trying to think of ways to solve these big societal medical problems. One last question.
Go ahead.
Bubba Kush or strawberry cough?
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I have tried the second one.
Maybe you like sour diesel. I don't know.
I don't know. Let's figure it out together.
Lisbeth, thank you so much.
Have a good view there, so like
we're gonna come out there in Oregon and we're gonna visit you and find out what kind of nice things you have out there. I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you so much for joining us. Super important work that you're doing. I look forward to the solution, and I think you're gonna find it. Let's get there, okay?
Here's Julia. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We're Green Spoon Martyr coming to you. Quick hits today. Nick Richards. Thanks for joining us, Lisbeth. You're awesome.
See you later.